Hello, good day everyone, especially to you, Mom Jasmine. In this presentation, we were going to tackle about Sigmund Freud, and here is my group mates list. So, Sigmund Freud was born on May 6, 1856. Freud died on September 23, 1993 at the age of 83. And at the age of 17, Freud went to the University of Vienna. So, Sigmund Freud was the founding father of psychoanalysis, a method for treating mental illness and also a theory which explains human behavior. Here are the primary theories by Sigmund Freud. First, ego and superego. Second, psychosexual stages of development. Third, the interpretation of dreams. And the last, defense mechanism.
Here are the primary theories: the id, ego, and superego. The id is the instinct, the ego is the reality, and the superego is the morality. Id is the primitive and instinctual part of the mind that contains sexual and aggressive drives, all the urges and impulses including libido and hidden memories. So libido is a kind of generalized sexual energy that used for everything from survival instincts to appreciation of art. The ego is the realistic part that mediates between the desires of the id and the superego. It is the only part of the conscious personality. It's what the person aware of what they think about themselves and is what they usually try to project towards others. The superego operates as a moral conscience. It incorporates the values and morals of society which are learned from one's parents and others. It is a part of the unconscious that is the voice of conscience and the source of self-criticism. Another theory is the psychosexual stages development, and there are 5 stages: the oral, the anal, the phallic, the latent, and the genital stage. The first stage is the oral stage. During this stage, the infant's primary source of interaction occurs through the mouth, so the rooting and sucking reflex is especially important. The mouth is vital for eating, and the infant derives pleasure from oral stimulation through gratifying activities such as tasting and sucking. Next is the anal stage. Child libido becomes highly focused on the anus and pooping. During the anal stage, Freud believed that the primary focus of the libido was on controlling bladder and bowel movements. According to Freud, success at this stage is dependent upon the way in which parents approach toilet training. Next is the phallic stage. Freud suggested that during the phallic stage, the primary focus of the libido is on the genitals. At this stage, children also begin to discover the differences between males and females. The fourth stage is the latent stage. During this stage, the superego continues to develop while the id's energies are suppressed. Children develop social skills, values, and relationship with peers and adults outside of the family. And the last stage is the genital stage. The onset of puberty causes the libido to become active once again. During the final stage of psychosexual development, the individual develops a strong sexual interest in the opposite sex. This stage begins during puberty but lasts throughout the rest.
The interpretation of dreams. Freud's theory based many of his ideas on his observations of his own dreams as well of those of his patients. Dreams, he suggested, are our unconscious wishes in disguise. Between his own experience and that of his patients, he concluded that dreams are almost always an expression of unfulfilled wishes. Defense mechanism. Defense mechanisms are psychological strategies that are unconsciously used to protect a person from anxiety arising from unacceptable thoughts or feelings. It involves a distortion of reality in one way so that we are better able to cope with a situation. Here are some of few common defense mechanisms. Repression. It is an unconscious defense mechanism employed by the ego to keep disturbing or threatening thoughts from becoming conscious. It is also called motivated forgetting, not being able to recall a threatening situation, person, or event. Denial. It is a defense mechanism which involves a refusal to accept reality, thus blocking external events from awareness. Projection. It is a psychological defense which an individual attributes unwanted thoughts, feelings, and motives onto another person.
So next is displacement, a psychological defense mechanism in which a person redirects a negative emotion from its original source to a less threatening recipient. Regression, the ego reverts to an earlier stage of development, usually in response to stressful situations. Reaction formation, which emotions and impulses which are anxiety producing or perceived to be unacceptable are mastered by exaggeration of the directly opposing tendency. Next is rationalization, an unconscious attempt to avoid addressing the underlying reasons for a behavior. Sublimation, one way that the ego reduces the anxiety that can be created by unacceptable urge or feelings. What is the importance of Sigmund Freud? His views shaped and influenced many famous psychologists, and he was the father of psychoanalysis, a method for treating mental illness and also a theory which explains human behavior. And that's all for this video presentation.